Am I the asshole for not honoring the girl code? I was friends with a girl named Jenny in middle and high school. Our friendship was tumultuous, she tended to say mean things and could be very judgmental. She called me, skinny bitch, a lot despite me asking her not to. She also talked about me behind my back a lot. I stayed friends with her because I had low self-esteem and didn't want to be completely friendless. It's pathetic, I know. After we graduated, I got my own apartment and job, then started college. We were about 18 to 19. She met a guy named David online and they decided to meet for an outing they chose not to call a date. It wasn't going super well, so Jenny had David come with her to my apartment to watch movies. She liked him but he just wanted to be friends and told her as much. I played wingman regardless, trying to help her out. Days later, David starts texting me. Jenny admits she gave him my number because he asked for it and she thought we had a lot in common. I'm furious at first but decide to let it go. At first, I don't like David but as we talk, we have a spark. He asked me out and I said no, I knew Jenny still liked him. He reminded me they were just friends. He kept asking and I said I wanted to clear things with Jenny first. So I called her, asking for her blessing before I'll say yes. Jenny went nuts. She said I was a horrible friend, a slut, a bitch, and couldn't believe I would stab her in the back like this. I tried to apologize and explain that I never meant for it to happen but she wouldn't hear it. She said I was not allowed to date David ever because she liked him. She and her sister started posting awful stuff about me online, including pictures of me talking about how ugly and slutty I was. Then they started calling me at all hours, leaving mean messages. I tried to appeal to our other friends but they agreed with her for breaking the girl code. Since my friends already hated me now, I went out with David anyway and we're still together over a decade later. I have not spoken to Jenny or our friends in years now. This has bothered me for a long time. I've always tried to be a good friend and not pull any shady stuff. So, now I ask you, am I the asshole?
Not the asshole you asked. She decided to end the friendship because you asked, thus you did not break girl code in any way, shape or form. Not the asshole. They met online and went on one date, not a date which didn't go well. That is not a relationship that should be subject to the girl code. She gave him your number. It's almost like she set you up to be in this situation, like some bizarre social experiment. She sounds like she was a pretty awful friend and you're well shot of her and your other friends, which sounds like they were fed a load of bullshit about it all.
Not the asshole. David had made it clear he only wanted to be friends with Jenny. She doesn't own him and can't decide who he dates. Any potential RNS is wiped clean from you being together 10 years later. You tried to handle it maturely, but she firmly went into asshole territory by slamming you online. Full disclosure, I was in a similar situation but my Jenny said yes to me dating my husband. She was hurt. I only found this out afterwards but she was respectful and we are still friends 12 years later.
Not the asshole. Jenny gave him your number for no other reason than that he asked for it? Why was she so surprised that the reason he asked for it was because he thought about getting to know you better? That you held off on saying yes before asking her about it shows that you were her wingman the whole time, and if she tore into you that badly, she was just taking you for granted the entire time you knew her.
You did follow girl code by asking. She gave him your number. Not the asshole.
NTA. This is how you find out you have horrible friends.
Not the asshole. If she had a serious relationship with David that ended or there was the possibility of them getting together, I would agree with the girl code. This is insane though. Every person someone has a crush on, whether the other person reciprocates the feelings or not, is off limits. Forgot those jokers. WTG on your long-term relationship with David.
While I get what you were going for, asking for permission probably wasn't the best option because it implies that she has a say in what happens. It's really good of you to give her a heads up, but you should have mentioned that it was just a heads up. You don't need her blessing. A solid not the asshole. Sorry that she reacted so badly.
Not the asshole. I always find those girl and bro codes stupid. Not the asshole. Jenny sounds off the charts terrible. You're fine here. Glad you're still with David. Not the asshole. That, I like this person so they are legally mine, mentality is incredibly childish. I think Summer Glau is gorgeous. Doesn't mean I can just turn up at her house and insist that she's obligated to marry me, regardless of her own feelings, because I like her. It's not even as though he'd dated Jenny for a bit. He openly told her he wasn't interested. Your ex-friends sound like idiots. You and David both are well shot of them.
Not the asshole. Girl code does not equal dibs. Girl code means if you suspect that one of your friends has started a relationship with someone, you ask and clarify before you accidentally jump into something with someone they're dating. Jenny wasn't much of a friend and became even more vile when you adhered to the code. Leave it in the past and be grateful she isn't part of your life now. Enjoy your relationship with the knowledge that you are most definitely not the ah.
How could you even be one? Hell, this psycho has been your friend for years. Deep down you know this, and you know you deserve better. I was you 12 years ago and it sucked. There was always something more I needed to do. I was always looked over for things, and discounted for activities unless they needed my money, or something else. So drop her like a hot potato and start finding new friends. Not the asshole.
Not the asshole. David knows what he wants, and it ain't Jenny. You go, girl.
Not the asshole. I'm so sick of this idea that people own the rights to date someone. Yes, if you just had a breakup with your long-term significant other, your friends should be respectful enough not to immediately start dating them, but this girl wasn't even with the guy. Maybe I'm a weirdo cause I've also stayed friends with all my exes, but when my first ever, real, boyfriend and one of my good friends started dating, my only thought was that I was surprised they hadn't gotten together sooner.
Not the asshole. She behaved badly from the offset, and was clearly using you. I don't think you owed her anything. Besides that, I tend to feel like the girl code is a bit juvenile. David was never her boyfriend. There were no complex emotions or history there. She just tried to call dibs on someone who was never interested in her in the first place. David is a person who can make his own choices about who he likes. She has no right to him. You are perfectly entitled to enter into a relationship with someone who isn't even her ex without it making you a bad friend. She doesn't have veto power just because he bought her a coffee one time.
Not the asshole. Some people are ridiculously strange about girl code. I met my husband online. Turns out he had dated an old acquaintance of mine back in high school. They went to high school together, but I didn't meet either of them until later in life. Totally different worlds and many years apart. Heard from mutual friends that she totally hates me now, and we ran into each other recently and she completely ignored us both. It was amazing. My favorite story. It's been 10 years. You won. There is no need to revisit the pettiness of youth. FTR, as she gave him your number, the girl code was no longer in effect. The more I read this sub, the more I see narcissistic, egotistical, selfish people. Who raised them?
Not the asshole. A whole decade later. You could rekindle your friendship by thanking her for introducing your soulmate winking face.
Not the asshole. I thought the girl code was you couldn't go with an ex, not someone they have a crush on. Good job you didn't listen, but don't let it dwell on your mind anymore. Not the asshole. Girl code is utterly pointless. If you and David are both single, you have the choice to date him if you both like each other, and you don't need Jenny's blessing to do so. Yes, she liked him, but he clearly doesn't return those feelings.
Not the asshole. He didn't want her. That's the end of it.
Not the asshole, because she gave him your number in the first place. To me that already sounds kinda like a blessing. What did she think he would text you for? Also, you asked her if it was okay and didn't do anything with him before she started talking badly about you?
Absolutely not the asshole. You simply asked her if it was okay to date David before you guys had even commenced any sort of relationship. Different story if you'd already been fucking before you ask her if it was okay. Even after she passed your number along to him. All she had to say was, "No, I'd prefer you wouldn't. I still have feelings for him," and you would have backed away. By coming at you so aggressively, damaging your reputation online and outright bullying you, she just shows she doesn't have your best interests in mind. You did the right thing, and even better, David turned out to be your person.
Isn't there a code about not treating your friends like shit and not publicly bully them and smear their good character? You owed them zero loyalty when they went after you. Not the asshole. Usually I would say you are the asshole because this guy was an interest of your friend and she was still actively interested in him. But she also gave him your hash for some reason and she's a mean girl. so not the asshole. Nope, she is just a psycho.
Certainly doesn't sound like you're the asshole. He was single and you did try to deal with it all properly.
Not the asshole. She wasn't a friend. She was never a friend. Friends don't treat each other like that. There was no code to break.
Not the asshole. I said I wanted to clear things with Jenny first. So I called her, asking for her blessing before I'll say yes. This is honoring girl code. You asked her first before going out with him. She got super salty because the guy she liked didn't like her back, nuked the friendship and turned your mutual friends against you. She's the asshole, straight up. And since she ended the friendship, you were in the clear to go out with David. She was toxic and possessive over a guy who wasn't into her, and destroyed a long-standing friendship over it.
Let me see if I have this all right. Did you break girl code by asking your bully for her blessing to date a guy she went on one, not date with, who was very clear that he just wanted to be friends with her, after she gave him your number at his request? Hard no. Not the asshole.
Breaking girl code I think means going out with him behind her back, and it's not like she deserves to know because honestly she sounds like a terrible friend. You don't owe her anything. You didn't break anything. If anything, you were being a good friend to a shitty one. Not the asshole, not in the slightest. Personally I think that girl code is a load of rubbish. You should not be barred from being in a relationship with someone you're compatible with just because someone else likes them. If Jenny and this David guy actually had some sort of mutual chemistry going, then that would be a different story. If anything, you are the bigger person here because you were courteous enough to ask her if it was okay. It sounds like your circle of friends was a classic Mean Girls kind of group. I'm sorry you had to put up with that kind of childish behavior.
Girl code doesn't even apply. They didn't even date lol, and for her to go off like that. Not the asshole, she's nuts.
Not the asshole. Girl code in this case is just a synonym for her not getting her way and making you feel bad for getting something she hasn't. Your friend was an abusive, manipulative, petty, self-centered asshole. She probably would have found a trizillion other ways to humiliate you and make you feel bad about yourself.
Not the asshole. Girl-guy code where it applies to this situation is straight up nonsense. I get the not wanting to betray a friend, but in your case Jenny does not own David and you cannot call dibs on a person. Glad to hear you are happy together and good riddance to these friends, tbh. Edited to add, I understand that it is a bit more nuanced than that, but I had a friend group implosion around the same age around breaking of guy code, and it was a complete mountain out of a molehill.
Not the asshole. You asked before breaking the girl code. Also, the girl code is for exes and family members. He was a guy she liked that didn't like him back. It hurts when that happens, but you move on. I really hope nowadays you have better friends. Not the asshole, still violated the universal code but shush as an asshole, so who cares?
Not the asshole. They went on one date. It's not like they had a whole romance with a broken proposal. You aren't the asshole at all.
To be honest, I find all that bro code stuff pretty childish and feel it's just a proxy for people not wanting to deal with their insecurities. Now if things ended horribly, I could see a choice being made between maintaining a pleasant dynamic and dating someone you like. But the whole, we dated 12 years ago so I invoke the code, stuff is a bit ridiculous. Not the asshole. Basically her friends agreed with her because they knew if they didn't, they'd get the same treatment you were getting.
Not the asshole. I'm from a small town and there is no girl code. If there was, you wouldn't be able to date anyone. After he told her he's not interested, then he is fair game. Besides, she freaking gave him your number.
I say not the asshole. Women should not call dibs. I had a friend whose sister liked a guy that liked me. He sent me flowers, cards and asked me out. I said no because friend hounded me to say no because her sister liked him. He told that me turning him down was not going to magically make him like friend's sister. He was not interested in her and never ever dated her. I lost out on a great guy and I wasn't even friends with this girl after a couple of years, and I am still friends to this day with that guy. We never dated and both went on to marry other people. But calling dibs to me is not girl code. You are not the asshole. Jenny is. Jenny isn't your friend. She seems to build herself up by tearing you down. That's why she constantly insults and negs you. To her, it's the ultimate insult that the guy she likes picked you over her. No one can control feelings and there is no such thing as dibs when it comes to dating. Your friend has shown you her true colors over the years, culminating in this. With friends like Jenny, who needs enemies?
Not the asshole. She was never in a relationship with the guy, therefore she doesn't get to say he's off limits to you, just because she can't have him. Plus, if they're posting negative comments about you, then screw it. Go on a date with the guy. It doesn't sound like you're missing out on much by losing a friendship with Jenny anyway. She seems to bring you more grief than good. Well, obviously you're not the asshole because you're still together a decade later. I know people think the world is black and white and there are all sorts of dogmas and rules we must abide by, but it just isn't like that.
Not the asshole. She brought him to your place, gave him your number and you were considerate enough of her feelings to ask before accepting a date. Girl code covered. She sounds like a horrible friend who was just looking for ways to create drama to keep herself entertained.
Not the asshole. My wife's parents met during a double date. Her mother's best friend had been on a few dates with my father-in-law, but when he saw my mother-in-law during that double date he was smitten. The rest is family history. My wife wouldn't exist if her mother hadn't broken the girl code. Good for you.
She gave your number to some dude you barely knew without your consent. She doesn't get to call girl code. Not the asshole.